Welcome to another of Mosaic's coffee breaks. Mosaic is, of course, a collaboration of the organisations shown at the front of this presentation, and that collaboration focuses very much on the ownership issues associated with mid-market law firms. And when we say ownership, we mean everything associated with ownership, mergers and acquisitions, partnership structures, succession planning, partner exits, and everything associated with all of those issues. I hope you enjoy this broadcast.
Welcome to the latest Mosaic Coffee Break, where we're joined once again by Alex Hutchinson, a strategic IT consultant, who last talked to us about the input that IT needs to have in law firm mergers and acquisitions. In this talk, we're going on to a completely different topic, and one that those of us in Mosaic have thought about having as a subject for one of our coffee breaks before, but our conclusion was that four old men talking about AI plus one young one was probably not going to show us at our best in terms of thought leadership. So we asked Alex to join us today to tell us a little bit about how he's seeing AI already impact the sector and how it might impact it going forwards. Over to you, Alex.
Yeah, thank you. So one of the things that I think is known now around AI is that it's got a strong media presence. I think there's a lot of value in terms of AI in the media. It's a bit like cyber. It's very easy to use as an attention grabber. There was something in the press recently about one of the top city firms deploying Copilot across every user that they were estimating was going to cost them about $3 million a year. So it's easy to capture headlines, basically. I think the reality of AI is that there are a lot of elements to it that are used as a marketing tool that are basically a glorified process automation. It's not really artificial intelligence as you would expect it to be. And I wanted to talk a little bit today about how firms can approach it. I think that's where the value is. In my mind, I see lots of firms that are under pressure to do something with it. I don't want to see it too strong, but sometimes one of those things that enters your mind when you wake up in the morning thinking, what are we doing about AI? It's a recurring challenge or concern. And I wanted to try and share some insight on how you should approach it to give you to alleviate that pressure, really, if that's okay. I think that would be of use. So should I kind of share that with you, and then you can ask additional questions? So one of the things I'm doing with this, to give you case studies around it, one of the things I'm doing is I'm working with particular practices or specialist firms or an area of practice within a general practice organisation where they want to have a better story to tell. Okay, so they want to have a better story to tell their clients around how they're engaging with AI. They want to be in a meeting with a client or with the other side where they're not feeling like they can't answer any questions in front of the client. And they want to be able to talk to their introducers and where they get work from in a positive, proactive manner that generates work. So it's all about reputation protection is one key element. And the other thing is about strengthening the technology stance of the firm in a positive way. So if you were just to say, let's deploy Copilot across all the firms, there's not many law firms that would say that they would want to do that. The key thing is around the protection of that client data. That's one of the things that firms know about. So the good news is, just to take some pressure off, the good news is any product that's coming out with AI in the legal sector that's targeted just to work for law firms is a great place to start, because they should have already addressed that client data privacy and protection aspects of that product. So stay focused on sector specialist products. Don't be dragged around by things that you see on LinkedIn that might be just a general AI tool that's of benefit somewhere else. So what? It doesn't really matter unless it meets certain criteria. The other thing to bear in mind is that relieves some pressure is all these providers of software to the legal sector are also in their own race to put AI into their products to make sure that they don't lose you as a customer to someone else that already has it. That's no pressure on you. Let them do that. That's their worry every week. So that's already in place. And I'll talk to you in a minute about how to take a pragmatic approach towards this. And then, so the final thing is just to think about, one of the things that makes a law firm freeze is we don't know what we don't know. So we need to go out to the marketplace and look at what products are available. And that causes a lot of inefficient time spent, because you're looking at potential solutions to things where you've not really defined or understood the problem or why you're trying to do it in the first place. So the key driver and how I'm approaching this with firms where we're doing it on this reputation, business development and efficiency approach is we've got to look pragmatically at this. So where are the potential opportunities within the firm where we can safely deploy AI so that we can have a message to tell, a story to tell, and we can safely implement it and start an evolutionary process. And the live example is we have a specialist family, they work with individuals, so they've got family law, WTP, and they have a lot of client meetings where key information is taken. You'll have a senior fee earner and you'll have a paralegal that's in that meeting. Paralegal is furiously scribbling notes. They're not really present in that meeting. They're not learning by osmosis. They're too busy trying to scribble things down. What AI can do differently, with some key parameters around that control of client data, which I'll talk about in a minute, is AI can be used to record that meeting, take a transcription, which isn't necessarily very accurate, it might be 85%, that's not a concern. You've got a paralegal that's got a document that they're going to do to confirm key data. So if a date of birth is mentioned or an address, they're making sure that they actually note that down. We're not going to leave that for a computer to get that date wrong. We're going to cross-check it later. But where there's a heck of a lot of power is after that meeting, when that paralegal normally needs to take about 50 minutes to sit there and draft a summary, they don't need to do that anymore, because the way that AI can summarize a meeting and give away key takeaways and tasks is very impressive. And the accuracy of that data is very impressive. So it's often seen as marketeers use it to do a first draft of an article. That's a great way for law firms to do it, by the way, as well. Especially if they've got partners or fee earners that need to create content. But when you're empowering paralegals at that way to do it, it makes it much more. There's much more value to the firm because the capacity of that individual is more available. They're more engaged in what they're doing, and they're more energized because they can get these things done and turn around and manage more volume of work.
Alex, that example, is that specialist software, or does ChatGPT and Copilot do it?
Yeah, well, it's not. There is a specialist piece of software, but it's generally AI used where it can capture meetings and generate notes off the back of it. So Copilot could do that. Just to give some more pragmatic value now, so ChatGPT I wouldn't use to do it. You've got to look at this controlled client data. Your Microsoft tenant is that environment where all your users and all the data sits. Microsoft are now working with firms to do a readiness for zero trust, which means they will lock down all the data that sits in there, that is created in there, that AI can create, and then it won't get sent off places. And that's one of the big things that firms need to do, is go through that exercise to lock down that tenant. Then you can start using the tools like Microsoft Copilot inside. Your users can use it, safe in the knowledge that that data is not being sent off outside of that tenant for processing. That means that you can then start to follow that same logic. You can start to say, we're going to then assign Copilot licenses to paralegals and see if they can start to identify and engage with that software to do things for them. And then it starts to evolve from there. But anything else to do with large language models, which is generative AI, where you get it to look at a number of different documents, interrogate those documents, tell me what's in them, create something off the back of it that's similar to X, Y, and Z. Again, it's all about where is that data sat and how is it controlled. So you either do it inside the Microsoft tenant, or you have an entire product, AI product, where all your data is locked inside it when it uses it.
As a small law firm, you're hearing about AI, you're interested in what it can do for you. Where's a good starting point?
So for me, a good starting point is with the paralegals, get them engaged in using it so that somebody in the firm is using it day to day. That builds confidence. As long as that data privacy and data protection is in place, then that's a good place to start. What you need to do is think about, where would there be real value to us internally or to our clients, and describe what's the current position and what do we do at the minute, what would we want that future state to look like, and how would we want it to work. And when you've got that, then you need to go through an exercise of either researching products specifically for it or engaging with a technology consultancy to work out how to deliver it for you, because ultimately you're not going to be able to develop it yourself. It's very hard to go and find something that meets these needs, or you wait for a product, you wait for a legal sector product that does that to come out. That's one strategy. If you want to be more proactive, you need to work out how it can be built.
Yeah, I was going to say the difficulty is because it's all new to us. We don't know what it can do and what we're trying to achieve. I've played around with both Copilot and ChatGPT. Tend to prefer ChatGPT. I've recently tried Copilot and found it wasn't as intuitive and as helpful as ChatGPT. But I think the difficulty is we all hear about it, but we don't know what it can do.
I think in simple terms, I would think of it around, at the moment, I think of it around automation. So if you wanted to say, I've got a document here or a collection of documents, we want to be able to search that, extract that information and generate a new document for me. They're the type of things that AI can do. If you want it to be able to have a database of all your precedents and then draft and create something off the back of it for you, they're the type of things it can do. How it does it is different, but it's all, just think of it in terms of an automatic tool. Think of it like a robot that you didn't want to pay a paralegal to do 50 hours work on. You wanted to get a robot to go away, review this document or review this information and do something with it. That's what can be done. That's the simple way to think about it.
A lot of the work that we do as Mosaic members tends to be with firms that are within the 3 million to sort of 15 million pound turnover range. A lot of the benefit from AI seems to be directed at bigger firms at the moment. Where can our size of client get the biggest payback soonest?
Yeah, I think it's around operational inefficiency of, we've got a lot of capacity in a team that's spent doing these things that we don't want them to be doing. They're trained people that need more support. We don't want that support to be people. We want it to be technology. To me, there's generally a clearer ROI with that because it's measurable instantly and it enables you to give that messaging that we are using AI to upskill, not upskill, but to better empower our paralegals, which means that you're not paying £150 an hour for someone to be doing something that can take 15 minutes instead of 45 minutes. Now, people worry about will that have a negative impact on the billing, but it needs to be used as a proactive way to differentiate and attract more work. That's my approach would be to it. It needs to be used as a reputation piece, and you're then using it to talk to your introducers, to your clients about the type of work you're doing and how you're thinking of them. The other byproduct is it actually engages those paralegals more. You should have less turnover of staff. If they could go and work with a more tech-savvy firm that would let them engage with that type of thing, it might be a reasonably move.
It's fascinating stuff, thank you. And you're heading towards a whole new conversation there, which is what's the impact of AI on pricing going to be? Maybe that's one for us for another day. Alex, thank you very much for your contributions there. I think certainly for me, and I imagine for my colleagues too, you've given us more of a handle on where law firms might start with AI. So that's been really welcome. But thank you very much for joining us again, Alex. And that's goodbye from everybody here at Mosaic and from Alex. Thank you all.